It's kind of different. I'm like, oh, this will be interesting. Hey, Brendan, where's Jason at?
Well, I mean, Jason's not a guest this. I mean, he was on here like a couple weeks ago, but he's not here this week, obviously.
Oh, okay, I get it. So I'm like filling in from he needed to like go. So he has like on a trip or something. I'm just filling because he's not here.
Filling in for what? What are you talking about?
That I'm filling in for Jason on the For Screen and Country podcast.
Uh, Nathan, it's the day we usually record. What were they thinking? That's what we're doing.
I know. I thought it was odd. I thought maybe you were gonna do like a best of or re-release a classic episode or something because you had to do this one here.
I'm confounded right now. This is exactly we're recording tonight.
Yeah, but we're talking about Pumpkinhead.
Right.
That's like number 4 on the BFI. I'm almost positive.
The BFI Top 100. It's not even British.
I don't follow.
It's spooky month. We're doing spooky flicks. This is
Okay.
it's rotten on the Rotten Tomatoes there. That's why we're doing it. It got the critical audience thing going for it. I mean, this is our podcast, Nathan.
That doesn't sound right. We're talking about Pumpkinhead here. I mean, there's a part where a guy gets stabbed with a gun. That's British brilliance, right out of the. And I'm pretty sure it's actually a British Enfield rifle that it happens with.
Am I in the Twilight Zone? Like, what is going on here?
We're talking about one of the greatest movies ever made, Pumpkinhead. And you're going to put it on What Were They Thinking? I'll tell you what they were thinking. If that's the case, they were thinking, let's make a movie that's better than Citizen Kane. Spoiler alert, they succeeded. So, without further ado, For Screen and...
Don't you dare.
That's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me. What were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to For Screen and... No. Brendan's got a wrench he's gonna hit me with if I do that. I better not. Okay, yeah, welcome to What Were They Thinking, an episode that's usually about bad to questionable movies. I, of course, am Nathan, and the haggis to my Ed Harley, my good friend Brendan. Introduce yourself, Brendan.
You'll die, Ed Harley. You'll die tonight.
Damn you. Or God damn you.
Yeah.
He already has.
I am Brendan, here to talk about a movie that, much like other slashers, pretty much every slasher, I think, inspired by a poem, as the opening credits tell us.
I love that.
I was like, wow, what?
Yep. See? BFI right there. It's literary. It's based not just on, just free form, but actual, prose, so rhyming stuff. Put the paper.
We do haikus. Haikus are poetry.
That's fair. But no, we're talking about the Stan Winston directed 1988 slashic. Not really a slasher. He's not a slasher, but it's a monster creature feature classic, Pumpkinhead.
It kind of turns into a slasher in the second half,
I guess, but I mean, I slashing with claws, I suppose. Yeah.
Claws slash.
I get it. I see. I think slasher though. I think kitchen knives like Michael Myers.
Like you think movies like X-Men Origins Wolverine.
No, I said slasher.
A slasher. Wolverine.
Yeah. Oh, still better than Human Centipede 2.
Like if Human Centipede 2 is a 0-star movie, which it definitely is, that movie is somehow 85 million stars.
Right. All the stars in the galaxy.
Yeah, and that's a movie. And let me be clear, that movie is terrible.
Yes, it is. But this one is not. This is, like I said, 88's Pumpkinhead, directed by usually the guy working the creature feature magic, but no, he was behind the camera on this one, Stan Winston. And no notes, perfect movie. What were they thinking? Bye, everyone.
Oh, okay. Well, easy night. I was gonna say, the more successful of his two directorial efforts, the other, of course, being A Gnome Named Norm, starring Anthony Michael Hall.
Yes. I've yet to dare to watch that yet.
It's troubling in many ways.
Plot. Yeah. No, but this one here, this is about a fellow by the name of Ed Harley, whose poor son is unfortunately killed in a motocross accident. I'm making it sound way more exciting. And of course, he wants to seek some vengeance. He goes to see an old witch of the Appalachian Mountains who summons forth the demon Pumpkinhead to, dispatch the vengeance. But of course, like any other, good witch's curse, it's got a very monkey paw type effect to it, and hilarity ensues.
See, I thought you were going to say, much like any other witch's curse, hilarity ensues.
That too.
Also, just want to point out, everybody's asking in the chat, because, we do these live and there's people in the chat.
Now people are going to expect that.
The monster does not have a pumpkin for a head. Just want to say that right now.
No, we'll clear that out of the way. Why he's called Pumpkinhead as we progress.
Oh, good, because it doesn't make any sense to me right now.
It doesn't? Okay, I know I got the reason here. So,
drugs. All
right. Well, as you said, this was based on a poem by Ed Justin. If you ever want a musical rundown of the plot for this movie, just grab the Misfits album Famous Monsters. There's a title track. There's a track on there called Pumpkinhead. It's basically the summary of this movie, and a fantastic little banger of a tune as well. But we won't be just playing that on a loop tonight, as much as I'd love to. We open on 1957. I'm guessing in the Appalachian Mountains somewheres.
I wrote down very deep south.
Oh, it didn't strike me as southern. It struck me more as Appalachia, but
Oh, maybe. They don't specifically ever say, I don't think, where they are.
I always figure it's up in the mountains because, well, of what happens later, and how no one can get to a hospital should be in close proximity. But no, in 1957 we open up and there's a man being chased through the woods by as of yet to be seen creature. We keep flashing into the Harley household, where a wife is there, and should she be afraid, and the man's screaming and wanting in, and the son, who we come to find out later, is Ed Harley. He doesn't look a thing like Lance Henriksen. No. He's upset, and the father is, "See to the boy," and then of course the man eventually winds up on their front door. He's pounding away, saying, "Let me in, let me in," and
not by the hair of our chinny chin chin.
Nope, and he's got a few of them. So
oh wow,
hairs on his chinny chin chin.
Oh,
that's,
okay.
That I mean, we get to see the monster actually almost a quick peek right out of the gate, which is not something normally common for a movie like this. Usually they let you kind of wonder for a bit to find out what the monster is going to look like before you get your full real view of the monster. But we get a pretty good glimpse of old Pumpkinhead right out of the gate as he's dispatching this poor fella. And then it's the present.
So I can only assume, watching this movie in 2021, this is
present.
64 years later. So Lance Henriksen is about 80 years old.
Makes perfect sense as to why the teens don't call anybody, because they're way up in the mountains, so they wouldn't have any cell service.
Yeah, there you go. It's a contemporary film. Actually, it's a futuristic film released in 1988.
Right. Yeah. Let me see where are we here. Okay, so we got that. And, oh, yes, not only do we meet our protagonist, Ed Harley, played by Lance Henriksen, we meet his son, who was apparently an unholy mashup of Haley Joel Osment and Jonathan Lipnicki.
Jonathan Lipnicki is exactly what I wrote down. I was like, wow, Jonathan Lipnicki did not age from this period to Jerry Maguire at all.
He's a Time Lord.
Yeah. He and the dog from the lake house are both Time Lords.
Right.
Where's that movie?
There was another person that we had said that about as well. I can't remember who it was.
Maybe it was just Keanu in general.
Oh, could be. So, Ed is shown to be a fairly doting father because he's a single dad living in the mountains, tending to his land and living off of what he can make off his small grocery store that he runs.
I love his deep, his thick Appalachian accent. Like, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon I do.
It's unnerving, by the way, to see him as a kindly father. Having seen Lance Henriksen in so many other movies, right off the bat, when I first saw this movie, I was like, okay, so he's the villain, right? And he kind of
is, yeah, but it's a sympathetic villain.
Yeah,
he doesn't know what he's getting into as well. But we'll cover that. He has a little scene where he's talking to his son. They're washing up because they got to go in to have breakfast before they head down to the feed store that they run. And he says to his son, the last person in the house has the honors of doing the breakfast dishes, and the dog is the last one in the house. So the dog's doing the dishes.
I missed that bit entirely. Did that actually happen?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. He's not the dog doing the dishes, but
okay.
when he's washing the hands, he's washing the hands. He's telling that sweet story about his grandmother and that, and he gives his son a kiss on the head and says, the last one in has the honor of doing the breakfast dishes, and both Ed and Billy go in, and then Gypsy follows behind them. So I'm like, oh well, dog's doing the dishes. Like, everybody's got to pull their own weight on a farm. That's just how that works.
I thought I missed a scene where they Jimmy rigged something together to have the dog doing dishes. I was like, how did I miss that?
That would be a bit of a tone shift, wouldn't you say?
Right off the bat. We start with someone getting ripped apart by a monster, and then whoop, the dog's doing dishes.
Some Rube Goldberg device, the dog can wash plates.
Rob Schneider is a dog doing dishes.
Derp to derp to diddly derp. And we get more scenes of him being a sweet dad. He's telling stories to his son. He's a firm but fair dad because he won't let Gypsy be fed at the table, and all this is just kind of set you up so that you really feel sympathy for these people when stuff happens a little bit later, because then he heads on down to the feed and grocery store that he runs, and then we get the first glimpse of our body bag fillers.
Yep. They're like, hey, we heard there was a slasher movie around these parts.
We're here to be douchebags and deserve to be killed.
Yeah.
Couple of us have redeeming qualities, but that won't matter.
Weirdly enough, the one with almost the most redeeming qualities was the one with the least redeeming qualities in a movie we talked about 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
That's right.
He's got range. The fella should have got more work.
That's right, folks. TJ is back, baby.
That's right. I'll have to go through his IMDb and see if we can get him in here 3 more times.
I'm sure he's got something on there. Everything else he's done is on the AFI Top 100. God damn it. He's only in Network. That's the only other one.
Like I said, we do get to meet these. They're not teens, obviously, because they're obviously old enough to be drinking and driving off on their own, and one of them has a job as a photographer and a dirt bike racer and all that sort of stuff. We meet the biggest bag of crap, that being Joel, who loves to drink and drive, and is very much a jock douchebag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and his brother is the one that TJ plays.
Right.
Who's like the
Yeah,
nicer
Steven.
one, kind of a pushover, but the nicer one. Steve. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they all end up stopping in at Ed's groceries, and of course they get out and they're talking about, you know, how pretty much we'll say how much better they are than all the people in and around this community, and they're better than just the way you get people like that to act in a movie that's set in the mountains, right?
Yeah,
That's how you kind of hate on them for being like, oh, you know, they're snobs.
Yeah, it's like anybody from the city is like a total asshole. It's like I thought Patrick Swayze and his clan were gonna show up again in this movie.
Right. But he doesn't. But a big brute of kin does show up, and I'm guessing it's Dame Malcolm Wallace's extended family.
Take that.
The Wallace family shows up.
I when that guy first showed up with all those kids, I was like, oh shit, is that a work camp? I didn't know they were his kids at first. I was like, is he just like hiring like children laborers?
So he's the grandfather, I believe, of this family, played by Buck Flowers, who's apparently a pretty well-known character actor. I had to look up his name because he's the oh yeah, that guy. That's what I get from him for like a picture. When I see him, I'm like, I know him, but I don't know his name, and I know him from stuff.
Well, and actually, I think he's been in like at least 2 or 3 other movies that we've talked about.
Probably. So he's actually closer to a 5-timer than old Steve.
Yeah.
Or TJ.
Yeah, no, he's been in he was in Tammy and the T-Rex and They Live.
Yes, and he was also the homeless man in all the Back to the Future movies.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. Also in this this brood of kinfolk of Dame Malcolm Wallace's is Mayim Bialik, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Old Blossom is one of the kids of the Wallace clan, although I don't think she even gets a speaking part. She just labeled as like Wallace kid number 1 or 2 or something in the credits. I just thought it was interesting, you know, because like I didn't recognize her because she would have been, what'd you say, she was like 12 at the time?
Yeah, no, she was 12 years old and she wasn't wearing a cool hat. So how are we supposed to know?
Or doing a silly dance, or being, you know, mature for like past her years.
I wouldn't have even known had I not read it in the credits. The credits,
no,
which by the way,
and that's
yeah, you did.
That's it too. Yeah,
we didn't mention, but
I didn't know it either.
The credits at the beginning go on for conservatively 15 minutes.
Well, so you can get that chase scene in. You can make that nice and extended. You can instill some fear, but also give people credit for being in the movie. Stan Winston, thoughtful to a fault.
Only credits pad the film.
It's a nice Side Hackers reference. Very good.
Yes. But yeah, those kids start making fun of the little one and start taunting him about Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead gonna get you.
Is that, you know what settles on bad around these parts? Pumpkinhead.
Yeah,
and they actually chant the poem. Keep away from Pumpkinhead unless you're tired of living. His enemies are mostly dead. He's mean and unforgiving. There's more to it, but I didn't jot it all down, unfortunately.
It's real,
and of course,
it's real fan service. Come on, guys! Like fucking so obvious. Like come on, who's this movie for?
I
felt so
do
unwelcome to the source material. Like I feel like you had to be a fan of the poem to enjoy this part. Like it was just bullshit, in my opinion.
You done bad. Y'all know what settles on badness, don't you?
Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead? Y'all stop. There ain't no Pumpkinhead. What about old Mr. Foley? He moved away. Pumpkinhead got it.
Teared off his head and drank all the blood.
Did not. Did too. Shut up, Hesse.
Keep away from Pumpkinhead unless you're tired of living.
His enemies are mostly dead. He's mean and unforgiving. Stop it!
I do like the because the poem and just a lot of the atmosphere and stuff that comes in with this movie. It makes it feel like a not so much just like a straightforward like slasher monster movie, but there's like that whole folklore ghost story feel that you get to it, which is kind of nice. So Cletus and his kin are there, and he's buying sacks of feed, but Ed Harley forgot one of them up the house.
No.
And he says that he'll run up to the house, get it, and bring it on out to him. So,
But he's taking the kid with him, though, right, Nathan?
no, someone's got to mind the store.
Oh, okay. But somebody's staying with the kid, right?
Let's be super. Yeah, Gypsy's staying with him. Also, the photographer girl is also.
Oh,
we just met.
Yeah, you mean all these hard drinking, not quite teens that he met 5 minutes ago?
Hey, it was the 80s. It was a different time, you know.
It's when the Amber Alert was born.
So actually, that didn't happen until the 90s, I think.
Well, this is a precursor then.
Yeah. So yeah, he leaves Billy, who I guess we haven't really addressed it. Yeah, it's his young son, but the kid, he's like what? He doesn't even look like he's 8.
And he talks in that kid actor way where it's like, "Daddy," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that really like breathy.
To make him super innocent and naive. Yeah. So Billy's left to mind the store. We do find out that Steve. This is where we find out Steve and Joel are brothers. And they both like to ride them dirtbacks.
Yep.
And they get them down from their truck and start tearing up that fragile ecosystem around the store, just jumping hills and doing wheelies and catwalks and the whatnot. And of course, the girl and what's the other guy's name? It's
I don't know,
Kevin or Trent or something.
Hair, dude. Oh, Curly.
He's actually done some stuff apparently.
Oh.
But yeah, they're taking pictures because I'm guessing that's why she's there, to take like action shots so he can get like sponsors or something. I do know that sort of thing goes into that stuff, but it's not really explained super duper well. Like I said, when we meet them, I'm like, the body bag fillers, because these people are going to die. So Gypsy and Billy are both in the store. And he has been instructed by his father, Billy, to stay. Don't go outside. Just stay in the store. All right? Of course, the dog gets out and Billy doesn't listen. He has to run out after Gypsy. And this is where, tragedy ensues. Not comedy, because this poor kid gets he almost gets murdered by Steve and then gets murdered by Joel, who crashes into him. I mean, it is an accident, but Joel, being the piece of crap that he is like, nope, not sticking around to take ownership of this. Bye.
And the way it's shot, I mean, I understand it's very difficult to shoot a scene where a child gets hit by a dirt bike and killed, but the way it's shot, I was like, I forgot for a second that he died in this scene. I was like, oh shit, he got sideswiped. Oh, what?
Well,
Wait,
he doesn't.
he's dead?
He doesn't die in this scene.
No, he dies because no one checks to see if he's breathing, and no one takes him to a hospital.
Right. So, and like that's why I said this probably had to be like way up in the Appalachian Mountains, because there's no hospital nearby or 911 service at the time.
There'd have to be at least like a town doctor or something.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
You know, go see old Doc Baker and get him fixed up and everything.
Hold on now. Let me hook up my fancy doodah machine. If it blinks red, that means it's bad, right? I didn't go to medical school.
Joel takes off, and Steve sticks around. Everybody else leaves. Steve's the only one who sticks around for when Ed returns, which I guess, good on Steve. But Ed returns and he sees that his son has been killed. He runs to, and Ed's obviously quite tore up about this. Steve's actually quite upset about it too, and he's like, here's his glasses. Here, his not really helping Steve. Not really helping at all, buddy. He gets up.
I've got the rest of your dead child right here.
Yeah. Poor Ed picks him up, starts walking away. It's Steve says, it was an accident. Is there anything I can do to help? And Ed just, gives him the old death stare. And we're like, oh, it's on like Donkey Kong now. So he actually takes Billy home. I'm guessing he thinks that he's dead too. But when he gets home, he lays him in the bed, and Billy has like his last gasp and says, "Daddy."
Yeah, and it's like, again, I know it. Does no one in the Appalachian Mountains know how to check for a pulse? Like,
or just stick your hand under his nose if there's a current of air. He's breathing.
Yeah, that means okay, we've got some time. But no, he just like,
yeah.
Well, he ain't moving. He's dead right away. No point on looking.
And we cut from there to the cabin where these guys are, I guess, going to be staying. And Steve's girlfriend, or is it Kevin's girlfriend? Not Linda Hamilton. You know who I'm talking about?
All these characters, except for Steve and like the Joel and the one girl, they all kind of blended together for me.
Right. The girl looks sort of like Linda Hamilton, but is not.
Is it the one that's like Maggie or whatever?
I think she's the one that it's not Joel's girlfriend.
There's one that's super Christian. Is that her?
That's not Joel's girlfriend. She's the one who has like the cross. She's got the crucifix and everything.
Guys, can you tell that these characters are pretty indistinguishable?
Well, they are, because the thing is that they're in between this gigantic spectrum that we get in like the irredeemable piece of shit that is a Joel, and the sweet, didn't want to hurt anybody, tried to help as best he could, Steve. And then everybody else kind of gets lost in the shuffle because they're just kind of in the middle, and you're just like, I'm not getting invested in these people. They're going to be dead by the end of this movie.
Oh, not only that, but Joel locks the two not teens that are most against him in a room.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Kevin.
Is it?
Is the guy?
Okay.
Pretty sure. I could look up a cast list, but I mean, are we that kind of professional here on For Screen? And I mean, what were they thinking?
God damn you.
They show up, and we find out that Joel has, like you said, locked two of them in the closet. I thought he had committed another murder because he brained the photography guy with a stove length.
Yeah, I thought he was going to kill him there too.
Yeah. And of course he manhandles the other girl and makes her sit down and shut up. And that's when we find out that Joel had a DUI a few months back. Some people were hurt. He was still on probation. So if he gets jammed up for a vehicular manslaughter on poor Billy, he's probably going away for a good long time.
Yeah, it's a real I ain't going back to jail situation.
Or yeah. Or in this case, I guess too pretty to go to jail. I mean, because I don't think he was in jail ever once.
No,
doesn't look hardened enough.
Right.
Inside this cabin that these kids are staying in, did you happen to notice that they had an Evil Dead clock on the wall? And I don't mean that it's themed after the Evil Dead. I mean that it was just stopped.
Oh.
Like the pendulum wasn't swinging, and it was stopped at this one time, and it never moved once in the entire movie.
AKA the prop guy was like, guys, that's the best I could do. Sorry.
Yeah, just paint a clock on the wall. We get all caught up about what's up with Joel, why he fled the scene like he did, and of course we get that rundown about how Ed was none too pleased about his son being struck by a motorcycle. But I think, and if I read the dialogue in this right, Steve thought that Billy was still alive because he said, I think he's going to be okay because he took him and left.
Yeah, I'm assuming like any other parent would have done, he took him to a medical facility, so he's probably fine.
Right, you can't say hospital, local medical facility.
That's all right. We're under strict
wrestling reference. Got it in.
We're under strict WWE rules in terms of our language. That is why
It's the dumbest thing, isn't it?
executing his opportunity is what I saw in a video the other day. And I saw a comment that said, do you know how many people talk like this? 1, Vince McMahon.
But no, Ed, of course, does not. He takes his son, who is now unfortunately passed away, and drives up to Dame Malcolm Wallace's kin's place and gives him his sack of seed and asks about a local witch. And
Casually.
Right. And of course, the legend of Pumpkinhead. And of course, the grandfather, which I'm assuming is, I don't know, Malco's great uncle or something, tells him that it's not real. And then, of course, Ed makes the reveal that, no, I've seen it. I saw it when I was a kid. And you need to tell me where I can find her. And as a good God-fearing Christian, Malco's great uncle is not having any of it. Not telling where this witch is. Just, I'm sorry for your loss. Take your son home and bury him and, move on with life. But the eldest grandson is a real snotbag of a kid. He was the one who was chanting the Pumpkinhead poem. Oh, incidentally, I have the poem here if you'd like to hear it real quick.
Sure.
Okay. Keep away from Pumpkinhead unless you're tired of living. His enemies are mostly dead, he's mean and unforgiving. Laugh at him and you're undone, but in some dreadful fashion. Vengeance he considers fun, and plans it with a passion. Time will not erase or blot a plot that he's been brewing. It's when you think that he's forgot, he'll conjure your undoing. Bolted doors and windows barred, guard dogs prowling in the yard, won't protect you in your bed, nothing will from Pumpkinhead. And that's what they based the entire movie on.
I was going to say, that became a feature, an 85-minute long feature film. Yep.
Yep. I'm cool with it. Okay, so, yes, the oldest grandson tells... he tries to finagle, he tries to get some, get stuff out of Ed. He's like, no, you tell me where he is, or, I'll tell your grandfather you're talking to me about this stuff. And so he says he'll take him to see Haggis, the witch.
Which, by the way, missed opportunity. She should have had a Scottish accent, or been played by Sean Connery in a wig.
That would have been great.
Oh, I can't bring your boy back, but I can shick a Pumpkinhead on their asses.
You must go to the old pumpkin graveyard on Hollowback Ridge and bring me back what you find there.
You won't find no hollowback girls, that's for sure.
I had to double check on that. I was like, yes, it is Hollowback Ridge. I'm like, hey, that's great. That's obviously, this film not only was inspired by a poem, but inspired Gwen Stefani.
No, her brother.
To sing.
Her brother.
Oh, her brother wrote that?
Her brother Gwen Stefani.
Gwen Stefani. Glenn and Gwen, the Stefani twins.
Oh, they're twins too. Shit, she really hid that part of her life.
Well, just like she does with most of her stuff from No Doubt. So.
Well, Glenn is an alt-right Trump supporter.
Such a good ska band. Oh, anyhow, so this is where we meet. We go to the witch's hovel, and we meet Haggis, who at first I was like, it's not. That's Frida Krueger.
Frida Krueger. Well, she's also not Sheep Guts, which is what the name suggests.
Right. I mean, I bet it's her affinity for that cuisine.
Oh, could be. Because only a witch would enjoy sheep guts.
Right.
Fucking disgusting.
Or have you ever had it?
Yes, I've tried it once.
Okay, good on you. I can't say anything because I haven't. So.
It took a lot of gumption just to taste it while looking at it, but yes, I have, and it's not good. It's not good at all.
Okay, it tastes as good as it sounds. All right, and this is where he brings the boy in, and she's like, "I can't bring him back to life. That's beyond my powers." And he's like, "No," and he starts dumping out all his, I guess, lucrative possessions, like his money and jewelry and stuff like that, because he wants her to, do her backwoods magic on Billy. And she's like, I can't, he's dead, sorry for your loss. Take your kid home, just like, Grandpa Wallace said. And he's like, no, I want vengeance. Fiery, deathful vengeance. And she says he has to go to the pumpkin graveyard on Hollowback Ridge. And that's why the demon is called Pumpkinhead, is because he's born out of the pumpkin patch. He's born that his head doesn't really look much like a pumpkin, but he's the body that you have to go and dig up and bring to Haggis so she can do, the ritual. But you need from a pumpkin.
You need a lot of context clues before reading that title.
You know what? This is one of those movies that, again, I should have saw younger. I didn't see until I was in university, but when this movie came out and hit VHS, the video box was so cool. Like it was textured, and it had like the Pumpkinhead face was actually kind of 3D, so like it wasn't just a flat video box. The problem is because the movie looked like it was trying so hard. My dad was like, "No, that's probably stupid." Mm-hmm. We're not renting Pumpkinhead.
Well, if it was made,
in the name in and of itself, too, right?
If it had been made 10 to 15 years later, it would probably be CGI, and it would probably be horrible to look at.
I've got some stories for a little later.
Okay.
Because I've seen 2 of the sequels.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, that's the appropriate response, actually.
So Ed Harley goes into the mist.
Yes, and
so much fog.
retrieves
so much fog.
Well, I mean, yeah, that does happen in the forest. It's but anyhow, I digress. He retrieves the body, and the I guess the people who were supposedly buried in this pumpkin patch graveyard are kinfolk that people were ashamed of. Mm. Right, so like deformities and things like that. Read Flipper Kids from incest. But anyhow,
by the way, I would have loved it this book because he picks him up and it looks like a little baby boy, right? He's cradling in his arms. Mm-hmm. I would have loved at this point if she brought it to the witch and she was like, "Oh no, not vengeance. I gave you a new son." What? I feel good. No. Lance Henriksen is a mild-mannered Appalachian dad.
Shelley Long is a lady who's fed up with big city living. The whole second part of the movie is just like a rom-com with Lance Henriksen and Shelley Long trying to get together with this weird, deformed, mummified kid from the pumpkin patch.
You can't tell me you wouldn't be first in line.
Dude, I'd own the director's cut on Blu-ray HD.
Go to listen to that commentary again.
Yeah. Now this part of the movie here, we had a really good. This is we actually worked with some folks who worked with us on Alien. Really smart.
It's crazy that they have Pumpkinhead in character doing the commentary.
Oh, that was my Lance Henriksen.
Oh.
But Pumpkinhead, Haggis does the ritual, and I think he feels like that it's just going to be this, I don't know, bloodless vengeance. Like the demon is gonna go forth, wreak havoc, and he won't have to think about it because the people who hurt his son will be punished. Ba-boom. And that's not the case. As soon as the ritual starts happening, old Ed starts, stuff starts happening to him too, because what's happening is she's intertwining him and the demon, and we'll come to find out that anytime the demon is, strikes, he sees it and also feels all the stuff that the demon is doing and whatever happens to him.
Yeah, it's a real Dragonheart situation.
Right, but way better, like so much better.
I haven't seen that in years. I'm assuming it's not good.
It's fine. this is so much better though. And so Ed has to take his son home now because now he's gonna have to bury them. And of course, as Ed's driving home, he has like a hallucination where Billy sits up and asks him, "What did you do, Daddy? What'd you do,
Daddy? What'd you do?"
Right. What the hell? Oh, yeah, there you go. That happens all the time. Drunken notes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You think I wouldn't have been drinking? I love this movie, so.
Well, I think that we go back to the not teens, right? Because like Maggie's losing her mind.
Maggie, and because Maggie's the religious one, because so it's like, look at this cross, Maggie. Look at this cross.
Jesus loves you. That's actually what he says to her. Jesus loves you, and you're gonna be fine. And then fucking Pumpkinhead pops up and just grabs TJ, aka Steve in this movie.
Steve.
And squishy squash.
And Ed sees all this and feels all the rage that Pumpkinhead has. Also, I almost feel like Steve should have made it further in this movie.
I wrote down they literally killed one of the goodest bad guys first.
Right?
Yeah.
Like he should have made it further. He had the most, in my opinion, the most redeeming qualities. He's the only one who legitimately did the right thing after the tragedy. He stayed and waited until Ed showed up.
Yeah, I mean, the photographer girl and the other guy weren't too bad. Like, I think they
wanted to call the cops,
yeah.
And they were like, we're going to go call the cops, and that's when, Joel bonked him on the head and stuck him in the closet. But
yeah.
I feel that Steve should have at least made it to the, final 3.
But maybe that's, to show you right away, oh, this is vengeance maybe isn't the way to go here. Because it starts with that.
Ed, yeah, and Ed he's physically affected by it, not just seeing it, but he's also hurting whenever this stuff happens. And he of course goes back to the witch to say, call it off. Be done with it. And she says she can't. Once the course is started, he has to see it through, and basically that, he's going to kill all these people and you're going to have to see all of it. And Ed's like, well, you know what? I'm going to stop it. And she says, well, you'll pay the ultimate price even sooner then.
Yeah, you'll fail, Ed Harley. You'll fail, you'll die too.
What did you think? It'd be easy, neat and clean and painless. You're a fool.
If you won't help me, if you don't help me, then I'll do it myself. I'll do it myself.
You'll fail, Ed Harley. You'll fail and you'll die, too.
Then I'll die.
We get the line one of the lines that actually sticks out from me from this movie from the first time I saw it, as where he says, God damn you. And she says, he already has it, Holly. He already has.
She likes to remind the audience of what his name is in every sentence.
Yes.
Just in case we forget that we're not watching Lance Henriksen playing himself.
No, but we can't. It can't be. He's sweet and loving and fatherly to this child.
Oh, wow.
No, don't get me wrong. Lance Henriksen's great. I love Lance Henriksen, but when I think of nurturing fatherly figures that you would cling to as a child to shoo away the beasts under your bed, Lance Henriksen's not the thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean the only other good guy character I can think of is in Aliens.
Bishop, yeah. And then of course he plays Mr. Whalen in Aliens vs. Predator.
And if you want to listen to that, you can join our Patreon.
So worth it. It's a great movie. I never stop singing its praises. Much like this movie.
No sled scene in this movie though.
No. So now that Joel has seen that his brother's been killed, and he knows shit's kind of real. He's kind of warming up to the idea of owning up to what he did, thinking it's gonna stop his rest of his friends from getting killed. Nope. One of the other girls gets killed, and her death rocked.
Wait, are we talking about Maggie when when Pumpkinhead just takes her face and rubs it on the window first before sticking her through the window?
Oh, I'm talking about the one he drops her from such a great height onto a rock.
Oh yeah, that was funny too because Pumpkinhead's ripping everyone apart, but that one girl, he's just like, wee.
Now, not only is Ed seeing this stuff happen through like visions and stuff that he's having from Pumpkinhead doing the deeds, he actually now encounters the kids again and sees like the actual price that's being paid. He actually has to see the body, and the kids, of course, they're running for their lives, and they are instructed at one point by a fellow whose truck they try to steal. You folks is marked,
and we actually get a genuine "Go on now, get."
Go on now, get. Yep.
It's like, yay, Harry and the Hendersons. I wanted him to like slap one of the kids too. Come on, get out of here.
Get. We don't want you. They do decide to foolishly make a stand against Pumpkinhead, sure. And Joel ends up shooting him like 2 or 3 times, and he's like, "Oh, it's dead. It's dead."
Yeah, this thing that I've never...
Spoiler alert.
This thing that I've never encountered before in my life, and clearly is some kind of monster. Yeah.
Tail and all.
Yeah.
It had a whippy tail and everything.
It was shot, so it's dead. I'll just go over there and casually kick it around to make sure.
And then, of course, he grabs him and then just, destroys Joel.
Stabs him.
He stabs him with a gun.
With a gun.
Oh, it was the first time I saw this movie when I was in university, and I was having a good time watching it, having a really good time watching it. The whole Appalachian ghost story feel to it, lots of atmosphere, and then someone got stabbed with a gun, and I was immediately sold that this was one of the greatest movies ever made.
The only thing that could top it is if someone got shot with a knife. I don't know how it's going to be done, but Hollywood, get on it.
They'll make a film adaptation of Final Fantasy VIII.
Well, that's there.
Someone's got a gun blade.
I feel like without having seen a single piece of press material for that, it's going to be terrible.
That's a pretty safe bet. I don't understand how they cocked up that movie. Like, honest to God.
Oh, the spirits within.
But that's just it. Like the Final Fantasy movies or games at the time all still had like that, a magical element, and there were monsters and stuff like that. That it was just a straight up like, alien movie, and it's like, but that's why where's all the lore from the different Final Fantasy? I guess we'll just have to wait for that Final Fantasy VII movie that they made. Advent Children.
God. Look, all video game movies can't be, they can't be up to the gold standard of Assassin's Creed. They just can't.
Or Street Fighter.
I'm joking, by the way. Assassin's Creed is garbage.
That thing is pants. But what's not? Pumpkinhead. So we of course, we kind of come full circle at this point because at the first of the movie, if we get kind of like an interior shot of the Harley family, and they're staying inside because Pumpkinhead is out hunting and they don't want to get in the way because it's none of their business. The same thing is now happening at Malco's great uncle's house, and of course, the kid who was like, you know what? I'm gonna tell Ed Harley where to find this witch so she can send forth this vengeance demon to wreak havoc. I'm gonna go out and see if I can see him. He makes some terrible life choices, this kid. Just awful life choices. He sneaks out to and then decides he's gonna help the kids. Another awful life choice, like just right in a row.
And like this is the point too where Like I'm having I'm having an okay time so far, but like this is just an exposition dump scene.
Yeah,
where he's
in
like,
case you missed all of it, like if you came into the theater late, as long as you caught this scene, you'd be right up to speed.
well, this is the story of Pumpkinhead, and this is all his origin, and you must have done something real bad. Oh, it was probably his kid dying that did it, and it's like, yeah, dude, we watched the movie.
We just watched all of this, yeah.
It's like there's a great scene in a movie. I don't remember what it is, but there's a scene where some guy has to like bring another character up to speed on everything that's happened so far. And rather than have a stupid scene where it's like, well, this happened and this happened, they walk through and there's like a plane or something loud, like a helicopter or something, and it cuts to like them leaving, like them at the end of the conversation. He's like, and that's pretty much where we're at. And I'm like, yes, thank you. We don't need to hear it.
That's great.
We have more than a 2-hour attention span.
That's great. Okay, so we're rounding the corner here. We got this showdown in the church with Pumpkinhead, which, you know what? I love the way this whole thing was lit and shot. This section of the movie looks so good, and that's one of those things with a monster movie, and especially something is, you know, where you want to use the dark for ambience and with just moonlight to be your like kind of scary lighting and stuff like that. A lot of times it ends up getting too dark. You can't see anything. It's shot poorly. Stan Winston did some great stuff in this scene here, because again, it's 88, so it's a guy in a suit. It's all there's no CG. It's all puppetry, and there's nothing. I don't know. There's nothing lost or wasted. I felt in this scene at the burnt out church. Just want to say
burnt church.
Not burnt
Not burnt
church.
church. New Brunswick.
No lobster fishing there.
Or horrible wrestling shows that I was unfortunately.
I didn't. I wouldn't know anything about that.
Let's just say a dog made that ring his bathroom.
Oh my god!
Just the side of the ring. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So we've got Kevin and I don't know the other girl.
Main girl.
Not Linda Hamilton.
Linda Shamilton.
They're trying to get, there you go. Put that one in. Put that in for a Manos. They're trying to, of course, get away, but also, you know, fight back, but get away, because really it's more flight than fight because they're kind of smart. The photography guy Kevin, he gets on the motorbike, tries to leave. Old Pumpkinhead took the chain off the bike, so the bike's not going anywheres. He lifts Steve up, who sits perfectly still, and posts for this, and just hucks him, throws him, bike and all. And I was like, now stab him with the bike. Come on, stab him with the bike.
He doesn't, but he does step on him with his big boy toes.
He does. And I guess that was kind of the end of like that.
Well, he doesn't kill him, but he throws him out of the way.
Yeah, he does. Ed decides that, you know, a little flamethrower action is going to be in order for taking care of old Pumpkinhead, because at the first of the movie we are introduced to the idea that Ed actually has a flamethrower for like burning brush and whatnot, as you do in the Appalachian Mountains and owning
Chekhov's gun.
Right.
That flamethrower has to come back.
Right. He tells the girl nothing can call this off, but he's gonna try to end it, meaning he's gonna go fight Pumpkinhead. And then he goes, as he's stepping out of the barn, he accidentally trips and rams his shoulder into a pitchfork.
I thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
Because I rewound it because I was like, did I miss something? When did he get stabbed with a pitchfork?
Yeah. And of course, we find out that, it's a Corsican twins type situation. If Ed gets hurt, Pumpkinhead feels the pain. Because he starts, he holds his shoulder and he's screaming because Ed just walked into a pitchfork and Pumpkinhead could feel it. So he's like, it's like I've got it now. And the thing is, though, as this is all happening, Ed and Pumpkinhead, as they're merging so much so that Ed ends up with Michael Jackson Thriller eyes.
Yep. They almost, you could say they become Pumpkin Ed.
Well, you could say that, and I would allow that. As a dad, I love a good dad joke. And it's not far off, because we see Pumpkinhead's face is actually starting to take on a resemblance to Ed Harley's as well. So Ed's like, I know what's going on. He's kind of figure this out, and he has a pistol in his truck. We hear a bang. And I'm like, and then he comes stumbling out, to which I noted, man, he managed to walk after shooting himself in the head? Phew, good for him.
And it didn't even kill him.
No, it didn't. I'm guessing he's just a terrible shot, like stormtrooper levels terrible of a shot, because he comes out and he like I said, he stumbles out, and he that's not what he ends up doing. He ends up like getting lit on fire. Oh no, he shoots himself. Pumpkinhead bursts into flames after Ed is finally killed.
Yeah,
That's
well,
it.
because Ed tells the girl, he's like, you gotta kill me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, girl, just shoot him in the head. But she shoots him in the chest like 3 times. I'm like, oh, come on. That's like, make it quick at least.
If you're gonna do a job, do it right and efficient. But
well, I
yes.
mean, you've clearly got better aim than Lance Henriksen in this movie. Like,
who can't shoot himself in the head at point blank range?
That's another thing where I was like, wait, where did he shoot himself that he didn't die?
And then where he stumbles out, you can see there's a blood on his forehead. And it's like, did he just graze himself? Like he aimed so poorly trying to kill himself?
He's drunk.
Clearly. On that shine that you get in Appalachia.
It's been a long night.
Well, it kind of is. But yes, this is what unfortunately does Ed Harley in. He succumbs to his bullet wounds, and then I guess that means Pumpkinhead, the demon, has got to go back to hell, and he just bursts into flames.
Yeah,
and we get this the final shot of Haggis burying what you think is Pumpkinhead, but you see the little necklace that Billy made for Ed way back at the first of the movie, because he's a sweet, naive little boy who says things like, Daddy? Daddy?
Daddy?
No, not like that, Charlie Sheen. He's wearing the same necklace, so we know that she's burying Ed, and if Pumpkinhead is ever summoned again, it's going to be the body of Ed Harley that is exhumed and brought back to Haggis.
And I think that's the third one, isn't it?
No, actually, he shows up in the third one. It's weird. I can tell.
No, that's what I mean. I think, isn't he basically Pumpkinhead in the third one? Maybe it's the second one.
No, the second one, there's nothing. Like, it's actually in the second one, some kids, they kill some other poor kid, and you find out that Pumpkinhead, this time, is the body of another, like, almost a Jason Voorhees type kid, who was developmentally delayed and made fun of by the local town kids and was, killed in that manner. And if I remember correctly, he has wings.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember seeing a picture of that somewhere.
Yeah, because it's called Pumpkinhead 2: Blood Wings. That's the name of the movie.
Great title.
Yeah.
Great title.
Great title. The third one I've seen. That was direct-to-video, and I was actually kind of jazzed to see that when I heard it was coming out. I knew it was going to be direct-to-video, but I heard that Lance Henriksen was going to be involved within it. There was going to be some CG, but there was also going to be practical effects for the monster, and the practical effects looked good. The CG looked like dog shit.
Speaking of dog shit, another great Lance Henriksen movie.
Dog
Man's
shit?
Best Friend.
Oh, okay.
No, well, dog shit's okay.
So yeah, that's Pumpkinhead.
Crumple up them notes.
Nope, saving those pristine. Love that movie.
Just gonna put it in a frame.
Could laminate it, put it in Mylar. Could talk about this shit all day. I could.
All right.
Greatest. I thank you for having me on for Screen and Country to talk about Pumpkinhead.
Oh, God damn it, Nathan. You know full well what podcast this is.
I know podcast it should be because this movie's fantastic. So everybody obviously knows what I had to say about it. I'm absolutely 1,000% worth the watch. But what say you, Brendan, on our scale of worth the watch to avoid like the plague? What do you say?
I mean, I'm there with you. I'd say worth a watch. I don't think I'm to the fandom level, obviously, that you are. But I would say it's worth a watch. I think I gotta say it gets points alone for being a movie that doesn't end where everything was a dream. I feel like we've had 3 movies in recent memory that ended like that, and it was a total it was a total coincidence, like not intentional at all. So I was relieved to see that the damage was actually done by the end of the movie.
It was refreshing not to have that kick in the nuts, eh?
Oh my God. My balls can finally dangle again.
I'll alert Mariah. And on that note, we're going to take a break, but we will be right back.
What were they thinking?
And we are back.
What up, yo?
That's Brendan bringing the urban flavor to NPR.
Word.
And you know, in the spirit of street poetry, we are going to actually have some street beat poetry of our own. But the street in this case would be that of ancient Japan. It is time for the low haiku.
I was getting ready to be impressed by you naming an actual street in Japan, but as I can tell now, you are looking up an actual street in Japan.
No, I'm not.
Okay. I think I'm going to say, Hayabusa Avenue or something like that.
Gamera Boulevard.
There you go.
Gauss Crescent.
Godzilla Lane.
Yes, the low haiku. Please, Brendan, do tell us, the listeners, what the low haiku is all about.
Well, the low haiku is 17 syllables that we use to describe the movie we just described with a lot more syllables. But we do it in a poetic way, kind of like the way, kind of like the source material for this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes, concise and poetic. Please do proceed with your low haiku.
Okay. Now this is before you provided a little explanation. I just want to put that out there.
Okay. That's the caveat for this.
Yeah. Stabbed with a rifle. Why is it named Pumpkinhead? Stabbed with a damn gun.
Very good. I like the feeling that spot where you're coming from. That's very, very, very good.
I believe last year when I watched it for the first time, my review simply said "stabbed with a gun."
Yeah, so and it's probably the most remarkable thing. I mean, there are many remarkable things in this movie, but the one that sticks out from the most, someone being
standout. Real standout.
Yeah, I mean, everyone gets shot with a gun, not stabbed with a gun.
Hollywood, shoot someone with a knife. Just throwing that out there again. Let's do it.
But I digress.
Yes, Nathan, tell us. Give us your haiku.
Okay. Hey, it's Pumpkinhead. Doesn't matter if you're well read. Cross him, you'll be dead. Thank you. It doesn't always have to rhyme. That's what I want, that extra step, because that's what you do for a movie in the BFI Top 5.
Okay, a couple things.
Well, let's get out of the NPR voices first. We're out of here.
Oh,
Couple of things. What? Oh, what? Oh, it's only in the top 10?
I think it might be. I think the list might be called the BFI Top 100.
I just mean that the top 10 of that top 100 is what I mean.
Okay,
the top 5 of that top 100, yeah.
I was like, it was really hard to name 5 British movies. I don't know why we made the list so small. There's been thousands upon thousands of British films made over the years.
Well, I mean, you think when people say it was a top 10 hit, they mean it was a top 10 of that, the top 200, because that's how Billboard goes, right?
Yeah,
but it made it to that top 10. So I mean, this has got to be in the top 5. I'm saying
it's really just top of the pops when you get down to it,
right? Because it's British,
right? Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've had our say about it, and poetically and all, but we don't want you guys to think that we're the be all and end all. So much so, in fact, that we are actually pretty, we're pretty often that we say a certain little thing. And what is that certain little thing, Brendan?
Well, that certain little thing that we say is...
Don't take a word for it.
That's right. Don't take our word for it. This one got a bit of a split on the old tomatoes. The critics, well, what they have to say about it?
Well, the critics, it's actually fresh on the critics side of things. It has a 65% positive, 65% of the critics liked it. And, but the audience, I was a little bit shocked, was lower than this. Only 48% of the audience liked this, over 10,000 plus ratings. But Nathan, I also want to let you know that if you like this movie, and I know you do, you'll definitely also like Stepfather 2.
Like the first one.
Starring Meg Foster.
Not
who, Nathan?
What the fuck's her name? One from,
I don't fucking know.
The one from They Live, and
it's Meg Foster.
It's Meg Foster. Who was I thinking of then? Meg
Tilly.
Meg Tilly. Yeah, it's not Meg Tilly. Who the fuck is Meg Tilly?
Who the fuck is Meg Tilly? Yeah.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Classic bit. You might also like Beyond Reanimator.
Okay.
Sleepaway Camp 2.
I did.
I've never seen the second one. Oh, Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers. Sorry,
Yep.
I didn't mean to not read the full title. The Facility, which I thought at first said The Faculty, and that poster did not look like The Faculty. Or a movie that I actually do like, The Burning.
That's the only one that's rated like double fresh on this thing.
Double fresh. Jason Alexander's in that one.
Okay.
As like a teen, and he's still balding.
Oh, you know what? I think I've seen... I think I saw clips when I was watching that In Search of Darkness documentary.
You should check that one out. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're talking about Pumpkinhead. Let's get down to what the critics had to say, and I will defer to you to go first so we keep our usual rhythm.
Okay. Well, this is I think this is a weird excerpt that they took from this review because it's a negative review from Mike Massey of Gone with the Twins. But he says there's clearly a focus on makeup, prosthetics, and gore, all of which hold up well over time. But I don't know why they pulled that for a negative review.
Michelle Kisner of The Movie Sleuth writes a fresh review saying this movie is still above most of its peers and worth a watch by all horror fans.
This is a weird little blurb here from Bill Gibran of filmcritic.com says, horrific and quite honorable.
That's okay. Quite honorable. Let's put that on the box.
Quite honorable.
The late great Ken Henke from the Mountain Express in Asheville, North Carolina. He wrote creepy, unusual horror film. 3 out of 5.
Well, he went positive for it.
Yep, he did.
Derek Adams of Time Out says, delivers more than ample amounts of full-bodied fantasy. Ooh, we gotta love a full-bodied fantasy.
Sounds like Cronenberg directed it. Richard Harrington of the Washington Post, he went negative on this, saying, typically hollow and patchy. The script is low par for the course, the acting close behind. You know, Richard, in golf, being below par is a good thing.
So what, you're saying all movies are golf?
If he's using a golf analogy.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, they'll read this last one then. And it's another negative review, and it just says it's from Josh Ralsky of All Movie Guide. I gotta pick that up. Pick up your copy today. He just says a routine horror film. I don't know. I don't think it's even if you like or dislike it. I don't know if it's routine.
I wouldn't say that at all.
I guess it becomes sort of slasherish in the second half, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's easy come, easy go, typical horror.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's if you're talking typical horror from the 80s, there's no masked human killer. It's a monster that's conjured up through a pact with, I guess, the witch or the devil.
And it's one of those few movies too where like the guy getting revenge, the movie doesn't think that he's doing like the best thing. You know, he's not like like an anti-hero, and they're not like praising him as like this great guy. Like, yeah, get your revenge. You get to watch everyone die now. Like, it's not one of those movies.
Yeah, it's a very much a careful what you wish for type thing. Well, my last one comes from C.H. Newell, from Father, Son, and Holy Gore. And in 2019, he wrote, good imagery, creeps, an interesting plot, rooted in the word of fairy tales and the Southern Gothic, all sure to please most horror lovers out there. 3.5 out of 5.
All right.
But let's see what the wrong people had to say.
The Cretans.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's get into the audience here. My first audience review comes from Hoss V, who is not a fan of this at all. He gives it half a star and says, I'd rather play hopscotch in rush hour traffic than watch this a second time.
Oh, okay.
It's very specific fantasy there.
All right. Well, Jake S., I can only assume it's Jake Snake.
Jake Snake. that was his name.
His nom de plume.
Yeah, Roberts was his nickname. It was actually Jake the Roberts Snake.
Right, but it got mixed up, and it looked anyhow.
It's Vince McMahon's word use rules again. Add it again.
Right. I will truncate some of his. It's a rather lengthy review, but he writes, Pumpkinhead mixes creature, feature, and slasher horror subgenres rather well. Special effects guru Stan Winston directs this film. The effects are pretty good. You mean great. Sorry, Jake. Which should come as little surprise knowing that Stan Winston was involved. The movie whole is not up to par with the effects. Unfortunately, the story about Ed Harley, played by Lance Henriksen, who seeks supernatural events against a group of teens for accidentally killing his son. It goes on from there, but I'm not going to. But he did give it 3 out of stars.
All right, there you go. Jesse O gives this one 1 out of stars. He says, 250 hours, guys. 250 fucking hours, guys. 250 hours without any electricity. This would not be so difficult if I lived in a place like, say, Canada, where you could at least sleep comfortably since the weather wouldn't be hot. You're an idiot. Where I live, a tropical island, the weather is almost always in the 90-plus range. The lowest we get here might be the mid-80s. And the fact that most houses here are made of concrete makes sleeping inside in this weather almost impossible without waking up in a pool of your own sweat. This happened several nights here in the 10.5 days we were without electricity. It was quite annoying. That's his review of Pumpkinhead.
Okay. When did he give it out of stars?
1.
1 out of stars.
He was just mad about the power, I think.
So my next review comes from Kyle M. I can only assume it's Kyle Mooney from Saturday Night Live, and I will be reading this in the vein of his character Zeke from this past week's, when this was recorded, episode of Saturday Night Live, hosted by Kim Kardashian. A predatory victimizing horror of unique subtextual twacking in devilish dealings and innocence with amplified special effects under debuting directorial experience and fine-weeding performances from Henriksen struggling through those themes, making this one of the best creature features around its own standardized scale. B. 3.5 out of stars.
I can't believe you picked John Cena over me.
He's married.
Justin S., we can only assume is Justin's credible, says...
PJ Polaco?
Yeah, it's him. Good effects for the time. Lance's son gets killed and he exacts revenge by going to old bitch. 3 stars.
The B and the W are nowhere near each other on the keyboard. I just want to point that out.
No, that looks very intentional.
Yeah. Okay, my next one here comes... I'm gonna try to find a negative one, because I know I'm super up and positive on this one, but I know, obviously, there are some troglodytes who don't. And actually, this one comes from Richard L., and I can only assume it's Richard Lewis. And he writes, this movie feels like a generic mashup of other movies. It's uneventful and is very slow build-up. 1.5 out of stars. I'm so neurotic.
So I couldn't focus because I'm focusing on my own emotions. Okay, this is a strange review from Erica L. Erica says...
Wait, is it stranger than the last one where the guy just complained about the power outage?
No, this one mentions the movie, kind of.
Okay.
Erica L. says, not a fan of these movies at all after the panic attack / flashback from World War II that my grandpa had. What? I think you may be posting on the wrong movie. 0.5 star, by the way.
She gave Saving Private Ryan 0.5 star?
I know. What the fuck, Erica?
Let's see. My next review comes from Nick C. And I can only assume it's Nick Cannon. And it's real short because you didn't have a whole lot of time to write in between, fathering 1,000 kids last week. He writes, great 80s horror movie. 3 out of stars.
My last one is from Claire T. I'm assuming she meant to put Claire D, so it's from Claire Danes.
Right.
And Claire Taines.
Claire Taines.
Claire says, thought this film was crap and I will not watch it again. I didn't really like this film. I expected better, so I will not watch this film again. I didn't think this film was good. I thought it was crap and I don't want the film on DVD. 2.5 out of stars.
Okay. The pace you were going, I was hoping it was going to take on a Seussian type situation where it was rhyming like green eggs and ham. I do not like this movie, Sam. I am.
I do not want it on DVD. I don't want to watch it while I pee. I don't want to watch it in a tree.
Please, Sam, won't you let me be?
And no, I am not paying the ticket fee.
My next review comes from John C. I can only assume it's John C. McKinley from Scrubs. And he writes, an old school horror film that's gothic and terrifying. Lance Henriksen is awesome here. It's so sad he's playing the part of a father who lost his son thanks to some delinquent youths in desperation turns to a witch for revenge, and up arises a creature of unspeakable evil and carnage. The Pumpkinhead animatronic is very scary looking and state of the art. Stan Winston was still a genius when it came to practical effects. Despite the short running time, this horror film gets a lot done at an enjoyable level. 4 out of stars.
I'm hoping that one of these days, so we're gonna find out that the jokey celebrities, like one of them was actually written by the celebrity.
That'd be delightful.
Emma Stone is like, how'd you know? Yes, I did write a review of The Lone Ranger.
I sure did watch Ticks.
I bet you Emma Stone has seen Ticks. I'm calling it. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's it. That's like I said. Don't take our word for it. Those are what the critics and the unwashed masses have to say about Pumpkinhead.
See, Nathan and I take showers, so we're not part of that group.
Right. I'm not posting on Rotten Tomatoes. Good Lord.
Oh, I just meant because we were washed.
Oh, okay. But now it comes to the we come to the point where we talk about some other things that we've been watching because our province is on fire at the moment.
Woo!
Not in a great way. Case numbers are up considerably, so again we're staying inside, trying to limit our contact with folks. Double vaxxed, but still playing it on the safe side because you can still be a carrier. But with that in mind, I simply must ask you, good sir, what you watching, bud?
Well, it is October, even though this episode is airing towards the end of October, but I have been watching a lot of horror movies, and one I want to recommend that I watched is a movie from 1981 called Possession. This movie stars Sam Neill, and the actress's name, I believe, is Isabelle Adjani. I want to mention her because her performance has to be mentioned because she is the most committed thing I've ever seen. Like, she just has to play hysterical and the whole time, and it's like a 2-hour movie. But basically, this marriage is falling apart, and Sam Neill is suspicious that he thinks there might be something else. Another reason why she suddenly leaves him and is like shacking up with someone in the city. Everything in this movie is just so bizarre. It's like an amazing movie, but it's almost like if, and it's not made by Dario Argento, but it's almost as if Dario Argento remade that movie Marriage Story with Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
That's what it kind of reminded me of, because there's so many things in the movie where I'm like, oh man, that's like, that hits. Like I've seen stuff like this. Like I don't, like, I'm not married, but like, I've past experiences. I don't want to get into it, okay? But
who hurt you? Show us on the doll where they touched you.
But like, no, I thought that's some of the stuff is really like feels really genuine. And then of course you get someone oozing goop out of every orifice while they scream in a subway. So Possession, it's really, really good. Please watch it.
Okay. All right.
Nathan, what about you? What you watching, bud?
Well, I mean, it's always Halloween for me. But I particularly, I like to really focus my energies on the scary movies this time of year, of course. And I watched a rather interesting one today called The Autopsy of Jane Doe, with Brian Cox in it. And it's mostly a two-hander. Brian Cox plays like a small town mortician. He works, to find cause of death. He does autopsies for the local police department. His son is working alongside him. So he's like his apprentice. And this Jane Doe comes in from a horrific crime scene, fire, home invasion type thing going on. And as the movie progresses and they're doing the autopsy, it comes to our attention that maybe she might not necessarily be, the innocent victim in all of this, and there may be something more to what's going on with Jane Doe. It's on Shudder right now. If you guys, anybody has that and you want to check it out, I do recommend it. I had a good time watching it. It's got a real good, creepy, slow feel to it. It's mostly a two-hander, so it's really big on atmosphere, and it's Brian Cox is in it, and he's amazing.
Yeah, that movie's fucking great. I think I saw that for the first time last year or the year before. It's like Brian Cox and Emil Hirsch, I think, is the other guy in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's second that recommendation.
there we go. So that's what we've been watching. Yeah.
Yeah. But what about Montrose? What's he been watching?
Well, you know what? I'll get him, and he could pimp his stuff, and he'll also let you know what he's been watching. Just give me 1 second.
Not WWE, I'm guessing.
No network as according to the last one. So this one's there. Hello, it's your good friend Montrose Monkington III here, and I've apparently been brought in early to pad out this episode to let you know what I've been watching. It's Halloween, and I'm British. Hammer Films. That's what I've been watching. Hammer Films. Doesn't matter which one. If you can find one with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, you're doing great.
There you go.
And once you're done that, you can also head on over to my YouTube channel, Montrose Monkington TV, where I've been, and I haven't done a whole lot recently, just trying to figure some things out now that I don't have the WWE network. I think I'm going to review the some pay-per-views that have already happened, so I could do them, and it might actually increase the production value. Here's hoping it won't look like guerrilla filmmaking. You see what I did there? And if you do like that,
you can say that. We can't say that. You can say
right.
That,
it's my word, not yours.
Yeah.
If you do like that, though, you can go over to Facebook. And I have a group page on there, Montrose Monkington III Esquire and Friends, and I'm also on the Twitter for some reason at Montrose III. That's the number 3 RD. I don't have opposable thumbs. I'm not sure why I'm on something that would require the use of those things. But thank you. More later.
Thank you, Montrose.
You're welcome.
But yeah, that's it. So maybe I should plug. Want me to plug?
Aren't you gonna thank me for being on your show this week?
You're the co-host.
This is for Screen and Country because this movie is great.
God damn it! God, I almost called you Jason. Look what you're doing to me.
I win.
A winner is you. A winner is you. Yeah, so we're on the interwebs. Obviously, you're listening to this now. You must know where we are, at least to listen to the episode. But, you can find us in a lot of places. We're on all the podcast apps. Our home base, of course, is Age of Radio.
Big time.
And you go to ageofradio.org/whatweretheythinking to find us, or just go to the main site, find a bunch of other podcasts too. There's some pretty good shit on there. We're also on Facebook. Just search for us there. We're on Twitter and Instagram at WWTT Podcast. We have a Patreon page, of course, patreon.com/WWTT Podcast, or just search What Were They Thinking? You'll find it. We're also on Redbubble and TeePublic, so search for us. We're all over the place. But Nathan, I do have some questions about Pumpkinhead for you to wrap this up.
Okay.
All right. Well, all right, let's just get started here, shall we? In a movie that where the dad is like, he doesn't
perfect. He's great. He's amazing. He's a fantastic, doubting, loving father.
Okay, well, in a movie in which there's a creature that, it
looks
says
amazing because
but...
Stan Winston is a genius.
Okay, but in a movie where, are they teenagers? We don't know. They could be.
No, they're absolutely not teenagers. We actually established that pretty easily, that they're all at the very least in their mid-20s.
In a movie in which I don't believe you could stab someone with a gun.
You absolutely can. The logic in this movie is flawless.
Okay, well, I guess I just have to ask, what were...
not listening. This movie's perfect. You can't hurt me.
of a good